again, people always shit on it. They're like, yeah, because turning the earth around is going to make time go backwards. And I just sit there and I want to scream. I just want to scream at them. That is not what is being shown. He is moving so fast, he's going back in time. And visually, the way they're showing that is the world spinning backwards. He's not making the world spin backwards. It was their way to non-comic book it. You know, in the comics, anytime he's broken the time barrier, back in the classic Bronze and Silver Age, it was always like bands of color and dates, literal numbers floating in midair. And that's how they would show him breaking the time barrier. They're not going to do that in a movie. So how do you do it? He is spinning around the earth simply because he's building up and then going at the speed of light and breaking the time barrier, but he doesn't want to go in a different direction. So it's always, he has to be around Earth to come back to the time that he's trying to go to. And then he slows down and then he course corrects too, because he probably went too fast. And then he starts, it's like, oh shit, oh, I overshot it. And then he finds the moment.
And we've talked about this before. It's like, what exactly did he change? Because the only thing that appears to have been done differently is that Lois didn't die.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy runs up and he's like, oh yeah, thanks a lot, Superman. You leave me out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of an earthquake. And
maybe that is a thing where there was two Supermen for a beat.
Yeah. So I asked this, I did a poll to our listeners. Asking what happens in this moment when he goes back in time. Does that mean that there's now two Supermen, or does he eventually replace himself, kind of like Marty in Back to the Future when he goes back to the present? Back to the Future actually addressed this quite beautifully, because by the time he gets back to the present day, and he doesn't yet know how history has been changed because of his actions in the past, he shows up just in time to see himself going back in the past, just as he did at the beginning of the movie. So there's not two Martys there. However, that Marty was a different Marty, because that Marty grew up with cooler parents.
That's right.
You know, but we don't have that device in this film. We don't see the other Superman go back in time, because the whole reason he went back in time was to save Lois.
This is another place where they left it up to us to understand without having someone go, well, what I did was, and you're like, wow, they don't do that. They're leaving it up to you to go, I get the general premise, and they're hoping that you don't feel the need to
ask these questions.
To ask these questions.
Can't stay still for a second.